Recently, there's been a lot of talks about Conor McGregor potentially fighting the winner of Khabib versus Ferguson next, rather than having to fight a Justin Gaethje in the meantime or a Nate Diaz trilogy. They want him to fight the winner of Khabib versus Ferguson next, and I understand that. There's also been a lot of talks. Everyone's seen the headline of Khabib Nurmagomedov being offered $100 million to fight Conor McGregor if he gets past Tony Ferguson next, which is a big if, by the way, because that's a tough fight for him. But will he take on the Conor McGregor rematch after he beats Tony Ferguson? They're suggesting for $100 million. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't understand this move. I do, but I don't at the same time. My selfishness, I feel like the business right now, let's get to my selfishness in a second. I feel like the business of the UFC right now is thinking to themselves, we don't want to risk Conor McGregor versus Khabib by having McGregor fight a Justin Gaethje and potentially lose. Even though I think Conor McGregor would win against Gaethje, I'm very open to, you know, there's a huge chance Justin Gaethje could win that fight, to be honest with you. Conor McGregor, I think, would win. That doesn't mean I give Gaethje no chance. That means I give Conor McGregor a 60% chance of winning. You know, like, I still respect Gaethje as an opponent. So they don't want to risk Justin Gaethje beating Conor McGregor and them losing the fight between McGregor and Khabib in the first place. But they also have to consider here, you're risking the Khabib-McGregor rematch with having Khabib get in there with Tony Ferguson, you dumb fucks. Everyone's talking about, oh, they don't want to do the Gaethje fight in case they lose out on Khabib versus McGregor rematch. He's fighting Tony Ferguson in April, okay? There's been too many talks, and it's starting to make me feel like Ferguson's going to win more and more. There's so much talks right now of Khabib just, like, Ferguson isn't even an opponent for him. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. We need to be focused on Tony Ferguson. And I feel like right now, as a McGregor fan, I can even admit this, McGregor doesn't beat Khabib in a rematch if he fights Khabib after Khabib beats Tony Ferguson. I'm doing it my fucking self, okay? That's the sort of osmosis of autism from the MMA media. Jesus. But I feel like Conor McGregor's only chance, and this is coming from a McGregor fan, is if he stays active, he beats a Justin Gaethje, he beats a Nate Diaz in a trilogy, and then he fights Khabib Nurmagomedov. Because there was a lot of talk about cobwebs. Because he's been off for so long before he fought Cerrone. There was a lot of talk about ring rust. Is he going to be the same switched on guy as he normally is in the first round? There was a lot of that discussion. Turns out he is, but how many cobwebs can you shake off in 40 seconds? It's tough for me to get behind that. I still think that if McGregor fought Khabib 3 months after McGregor fought Eddie Alvarez, it'd be a reasonably different story. Okay? I want to see McGregor stay active if he's going to pose any threat to Khabib. And I also want there to be a sort of example here, because recently in the UFC, we've had Yoel Romero being offered to Israel Adesanya, a guy who's coming off of one in his last 4 wins. I mean, he's 1 win in his last 4 fights, sorry. Then you've got Jose Aldo being offered to Henry Cejudo after, on record, he lost to Marlon Moraes, which is weird again, even if you think he won the fight. On record, he lost to Marlon Moraes. Before that, he lost to Alexander Volkanovski. I want there to kind of been set a precedent here, using the superstars on how the sport should be run. It should be McGregor versus Gaethje next. Okay, I don't like this talk of McGregor just sitting out until September or October for a Khabib rematch. That doesn't sound good to me. I can't get hyped for that. If I see McGregor, after smoking Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds, go out there and beat a guy like Justin Gaethje, I am sorry, I can't even speak about how invested I am. Like, that's an amazing fight. If McGregor can pick up a win over Justin Gaethje, the hype for him versus Khabib in a rematch is real. It's really real. It's not like, oh, Khabib's just going to win again. It's like, oh shit, what's going to happen? This is like the first time. What are we going to see here? It's a lot more interesting. Especially if Tony Ferguson makes Khabib look a little bit more human even. Because, you know, Khabib can beat Tony Ferguson. It's not going to look pretty. No one looks pretty beating Tony Ferguson. That just doesn't exist. So if we can see Khabib bleed a little bit, even in a win over Tony Ferguson, and Conor McGregor can go out there and beat a guy like Justin Gaethje, which I think he will, that's a big fucking fight. Okay? And that's how I want to see the UFC go next. I want there to be set an example of how to really earn a fucking title shot. Because recently, there seems to be no fucking rules. We're stripping interim championships. We're fucking giving losers title fights for no fucking reason when we could in fact wait a month for Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. UFC 250 is in May. We could have waited and had Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa in fucking Brazil. Okay? But no. The title fights seem to change. I feel like once the BMF belt got made, the rest of the titles kind of got lost value a little bit, the way the UFC seems to be treating them. Let's have guys earn title shots. Let's put McGregor through Justin Gaethje, because then I think it'll even increase his own chances against Khabib Nurmagomedov. So it'd be better for him if he could gamble with Justin Gaethje and hopefully win, because then he's got more time in the ring. He's got more time training and more time being dedicated and more time focusing on Khabib in the future as well, giving him more time. I don't understand these talks, and I want them to stop. I want to see McGregor versus Justin Gaethje next. Please don't overlook Tony fucking Ferguson, because that is a very dangerous fight. You know what? I'm picking Tony Ferguson. I'm picking Conor McGregor. Who knows what's going to happen? One of them two predictions is probably going to lose. Two of them could potentially lose. I think McGregor wins against Gaethje. I know Gaethje's dangerous, but I think McGregor's alertness in the first round is going to be enough to put out Justin Gaethje. I've seen a lot of Justin Gaethje. I've also seen a lot of Justin Gaethje on the wrong end of some fights as well. I know that was an older version, but still, we're talking about Conor McGregor here compared to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. Different, and McGregor's proved that in his career that he's on a different level to Alvarez and Poirier both. I just feel like with Tony Ferguson, it's a dangerous fight to just look over. And it's being really weird recently in the MMA media. Really weird. It's starting to sound a bit like boxing to me, which I fucking hate. I hate boxing and the way the media is and the way they talk about the champions and the way the champions fight. No one gives a fuck about certain things. It's like, I want the titles to mean something. And we're starting to sound a lot like boxing. We're talking about, oh, Jones at heavyweight next. Like, Reyes this weekend, guys. It's Reyes this weekend. Can we calm down? These are two 6'4" gentlemen throwing hands at each other with little to no gloves on. We need to calm down. You know? We're talking about, Khabib versus McGregor next after Ferguson. After Ferguson? I'm telling you, Tony Ferguson's the type of guy to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov on April 19th. I hope it's the 19th and I haven't got that one wrong. At UFC 249. I think he might do it. And I think that the plans of the UFC and the UFC fans alike may be a little bit spoiled, to be honest with you. But even then, let's say Khabib loses to Tony Ferguson. Maybe we have Khabib versus McGregor 2 as a title elimination bout, and we give Gaethje the title shot against Tony Ferguson. Who knows? Let's see how things play out. We're in no rush to make any decisions. We don't have to lock in a fight between Khabib and McGregor in the future, because it's MMA, and no one knows what the fuck's going to happen. Let's wait. Because Khabib could lose, and then we could have McGregor versus Khabib, and that way, people get their own way with McGregor because we want to see him take on multiple contenders before getting a title shot back. And that happens. We also get the Khabib versus McGregor rematch. People get what they want for Justin Gaethje, even though Gaethje hasn't helped himself one bit in this endeavour. People get the Justin Gaethje title shot against Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson gets validity as a champion, which a lot of people want as well. And everyone's happy. Who knows what could happen is what I'm saying. Stop acting like everything's going to go to plan. Because as we've seen time and time and time again, it doesn't. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.